Okay, Chief, I want to start off this module on your boss being your customer with a bit of a story. One of my clients was a director at a major government organisation. I won't give their name to protect them, but she was acting in a director role, in a particular role on the executive team. She'd been promoted to act in it, and then now they're going out into the market once again to do a wider recruitment process. They were looking all over the country for people that might be great for this job. And this job, you know what? There would have been plenty of fantastic candidates. She spoke to the recruiter, and the recruiter gave the impression that the organisation and the CEO would prefer to get an external candidate. So off the bat, right up, she knows she's battling to get this job. Now, she's got a pretty good reputation in the business. She's capable. She should be on the executive team, but can she beat the odds? Can she go through this process? Now, what she did is she sat down and did a detailed customer profile of her boss. All the problems, the challenges, what's going on in the market, what is this CEO, what is he worried about? So she was looking all around, what she was getting hammered on, what was the board really hammering him on. She got really into the nuts and bolts and worked out what did he need more than anything from the role that he was recruiting for. What did he want that person to really, really do? What problem was she solving by being in that job? And you know what? She went in there, she knocked it out of the park with the recruiter. They put her name forward. She blew away the panel interview and she got that job against all odds. And the reason was she came out, she said to me, you know what? The reason was I said exactly what they wanted to hear. And it was only because she spent the time thinking about her customer. You are a professional services firm of one. I know it doesn't feel like it because all in the full-time world, we get complacent. This is the thing. A full-time job breeds that laziness. If you were to go out on your own and be a consultant to sell your services in whatever field you're in, all of a sudden you would find out how much better you've got to be at serving your customer, at knowing your customer. In any marketing, the first step is do an avatar, create a profile of your customer in depth. Then you can get all the right wording. You can actually solve their problems better for them. I've got another quick story for you. I was working with a guy who was a general manager at a mining company, and he was doing all the support services. And you know what? His reputation wasn't great with the executive team. In the business, fantastic. With the exec team, you know what? They weren't right on board with him. And they just, to be honest, they were a bit nonplussed, maybe thinking in the end they wouldn't renew his contract, all this kind of stuff. And he was hammering away on 3 or 4 major priorities around this organizational transformation and a few other things. Now look, they were good, valuable things, but he wasn't speaking the language of his boss or the executive team. He did a customer profile and worked out what his boss was most worried about was the unity of the team. He wanted to make sure they were all working together so nothing got mixed. And number 2, safety. He then just changed his tone. He changed the quality of the words he was using and what he was talking about in meetings. And all of a sudden, the ears of the COO pricked up. Not 3 months later, he was giving a presentation to the entire executive team, and the COO said, this guy has been doing a fantastic job. I think there's a great future here for him. And he was in the room. Now, that had never been said previously, right? He didn't even change too much of what he was doing, but he spoke differently. He spoke to his customers' problems. So, in your career, the greatest ambassador you can have is your boss, because they will open doors for you. They will remove all the roadblocks to any projects you're leading. They will make your life easy. Do you know the number 1 reason people leave a job? It's because of their boss. They hate their boss. They can't stand it any longer. So reframe who your boss is. They're not your boss. They're your customer. And what you need to do through your work is absolutely blow them away. Make them your biggest ambassador for everything you do. Now, there is a pitfall or a caveat there. If when I say that, you say to yourself, I hate my boss, I cannot possibly do that. They've got no values. If you've been down that path and you can't find a way to serve your boss better, help them be better as an individual, then you need to shift sideways or out, right? You will never succeed if your boss is there and you can't support them, you can't make them great, because that's what we're going to ask of you. The more you can make your boss successful, the more you will be successful. And don't expect all of the praise or all of the recognition. They're going to need some as well. Okay, so think for a minute about what's going on with your boss. And there are a few things. Look, if they're just low on capability, that's okay. You can serve them. You can help them get better. If they're really good at some things and not others, help them solve those other things. If you're really struggling with the values or the behavior, then that's got to be a conversation first. You've got to cross that bridge before you really start diving into how you can serve them better. Okay, Chief, there's not really an exercise for this particular module. I just wanted to tell you about the importance of what it means to treat your boss as your number one customer. Because the next one is a really detailed profile. I'm going to talk you through that in detail. Okay, Chiefs, on to the next module.